We return to Devonsport and the events that our three protagonists are investigating. Sylvia has headed to the hospital to check out the forensic reports. She has the sway to pull some strings and get access to that kind of thing. The police have that information too, but she just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything omitted on the police end. Plus, the hospital has the benefit of the morgue, where, apparently, despite the fact the school shooting in Devonsport took place around, over a month ago, some of the bodies are still on ice. That leaves Toby, and our police chief, to pop their heads in at the police station and just ask some questions. Maybe crime scene reports, maybe some witness statements, try and get a read of what exactly happened on that fateful day when Patrick Wilson decided to shoot up his classmates and a teacher. We start as the two of you enter the precinct. You can see that working there, and both of you know these individuals. Peter Cox is sat at the big desk at the end of the open plan police station. Peter Cox is the deputy chief and largely runs the place since Dwayne's semi-retirement. You can see young Brent Meyer there, a ambitious up-and-coming cop. A little too clean for Dwayne's liking. Not in the sense that he's a square, or that he's going to grass on anyone for a bit of corruption, but he hasn't been dirtied yet, and to the mind of someone like Dwayne McClane, our semi-retired chief of police, that means he hasn't truly been tested. But the person both of you know best, Carol McClane, Dwayne's daughter. She sits at the front desk doing some paperwork. She looks up as you enter through those double doors. She smiles to see her father, and then she frowns to see him keeping the company of Toby, who spends most of his time propping up a bar, as we know. Dad, you weren't supposed to be in today?
Yeah, I know. I can't just come and visit my daughter at work?
Thanks, I guess. What are you doing here with Toby? Hi, Toby.
I nod. Hey, Carol.
Yeah, I guess she leans forward. Is there something I need to know about?
No. I walk over to the desk she's sitting at and take a moment to take the police station in, inhale that scent, old wood. It's really easy to remember how this place used to look. Not that it looks bad now, it doesn't, but there's a certain faded quality to everything. And I remember when that door over there was brand new, and of course when it was my name on Peter Cox's desk right now. It's a good feeling. I like thinking about the past. As I'm trying to think of what to say next, I scrunch my nose a little. Now listen, Carol, funny thing, you know, all that horrible business that happened last month, yeah?
Well, yeah.
Something about it. It's got me in the mood for, I just want to double check a few things. I know it's all open and shut, I know, and everyone here's doing a great job, especially you, Peter. Great job.
Oh, hi, Dwayne.
Hey, Peter. But here's the thing, I just kind of want to... Something's bugging me about the whole thing. I don't know what it is. I was just wondering if I could just have a little peek at all the paperwork. Maybe, look at the witness statements again.
Well, I mean, fine. I mean, you're still the chief on paper. Yeah, I mean, you know where the cabinets are. You have at them. But I'm wondering what you're thinking isn't so tied up. The Bureau, when they came in, said it was all pretty clear.
Yeah, but you know how... You know what I've told you, Carol. Come on, the Bureau. Do they look out for you and me? No, they don't.
No, I mean, we've chatted about this a lot over the last month, Dad, but what are you hoping to get out of this? I mean, we can't just open up the case again. This is the FBI's case.
Well, exactly. I'm not hoping to get anything. I'm just curious. Curious is all. Also, I'm, trying to teach, Toby here some, work ethic. That's why he's here. He's cleaning up his act, and, I thought I'd show him a few things.
Is that right, Toby? You thinking of joining us here at the precinct, or what? Going the PI route?
I put on a fake smile and I go, yeah, I need a job. Law enforcement seems like there's always a need for that, huh?
Oh well, sure, yeah, there always is. I wouldn't say no to another pair of hands around here. I mean, it's not up to me, but hell, I'm just happy to hear you're getting out there looking. How's your brother?
Oh, Ken, I've seen him for a bit, actually. You haven't happened to see him about the town recently?
No. Give him my best when you see him.
Oh, sure, I will. Definitely. Let me know in case you see him. I haven't been able to contact him recently.
Sure, yeah. Dad, so, as I say, no problem whatsoever you looking at all the reports, and, it's free information. There's nothing here that's classified or nothing like that. But is this really the kind of case you want to start Mr. Heuchober on?
Well, what, you want to start him on, drink driving charges or speeding tickets?
Well, I don't know, maybe. That's where most of us start. I know this is unofficial. If he was actually enrolling with the academy, he would go up the usual chain, but I guess, it's your station, and he's your, and she looks Toby up and down, apprentice, so yeah, she lifts the hatch that separates the front desk from the rest of the station. As mentioned, the station is one large open plan building. It's like an old converted barn, except it never was a barn. It has just been built in a somewhat anachronistic, old-school way. Much like much of Devonsport, it appeals at an aesthetic level to people who long for a bygone era that never actually existed. The cells, of course, aren't open plan. They're around back and, to a degree, under the ground as well. Just a few steps down, and then you reach the cell block for anyone who's detained in Devonsport. Not that there ever really are that many people who get detained. Maybe for a bit of drinking over the limits, or acting improperly. But yeah, you can see everything that's going on. And that comes with the added negative of everyone can see what you're doing.
Well, that's fine with me. Like you said, I'm not doing anything weird, just looking at files. As I let Toby pass me, I do just lean into her desk a little closer and just speak a little quieter, as I say. How are you, doing, by the way? You having a good day today? Everything okay?
Yeah. It's quiet. It's always quiet. It's funny you actually stopped in. Brent, she points over to the deputy. There's not really much of a need for her to point him out. You know who he is, but she does it nonetheless. Maybe in case your age has got to your memory. He was talking about actually applying for one of the detective roles that's going up in Seattle right now. They've just opened up a new precinct, and, well, he was talking about, he was so enthusiastic. I'm half tempted to apply myself. I know it's a sideways move, rank-wise, but it could be a nice challenge. A change of scenery. I know, obviously I've always got good report, but who are we kidding? You've been writing most of them.
Well, yeah, but you gotta think real careful. Look, Seattle's a very different place to Devonsport. You know, the different sort of thing. And, maybe, not that you couldn't do it, but, I start trailing off a little awkwardly because I don't want to go into one of my rants about how, at the end of the day, she's smarter than this job. Much smarter. And she could be doing anything, especially things that don't involve dealing with the sort of people you have to deal with in police work. But I don't want to rant about that now. I'm busy. So I kind of awkwardly just say, but, just think about it. Think about it. Good for Brent, though. Yeah, he's welcome to. He's got his head up there. I mean, in a good way. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, Dad, I get it. Ever since Mum went, you've wanted to keep me around, and I've wanted to stay around, and I'm not planning on just ditching you or anything. But you're all but retired. You swing by when there's an interesting case, or when someone is asking you to swing by and she gives you a knowing look. But at some point you're going to be hanging up your spurs, and when you do, if I need to move to the city and I take my immediates with me, you're more than welcome to come too. I mean, when all is said and done, now that you're at the door of retirement, what's keeping you here? There's a lot more you could be doing with your golden years, and you've got a good stretch ahead of you yet. And not a daughter should be saying this to her dad necessarily, but there's women you could meet up there. You know all the women in Devonsport, and, well, to put it another way, they all know you. It might be good for a clean start for you as well.
I clench my jaw a little and wipe the sweat from my brow because I've suddenly started sweating because... no, I think to myself, no, I don't get that. I don't get that. It's not that I don't deserve good things. I do deserve good things, but the price I've had to pay for some things, it's not good, and I kind of just mutter, you don't want your dad following you around your whole life. No, it's not about that. I don't mind you going and doing your own thing, honey. I just think about it. Anyway, I better...
Carol! Have you done the paperwork yet? Peter interrupts, as your voice is getting louder. Carol rolls her eyes. Yes, Chief. Listen, you go do whatever you want. None of us are going to stop you, but maybe we should catch up over dinner tonight or tomorrow night. All I have to, I'll just... I can just put in a call. It's not a problem if you want to meet up and chat about this. I can see it's bothering you. Carol! Yeah, look, we'll speak later, okay?
Yeah. Yes, sweetie. Good job. Good job. You get back to work. Yeah. Sorry, Peter, sorry. And I awkwardly shuffle off.
Well, Toby, while all of that has been going on, has Toby just been kind of shuffling around, waiting his turn, or what have you been doing? You can generally picture what a police reception would look like, the usual array of wanted posters, public safety announcements on the walls, that kind of thing. But what have you been doing while you've been waiting patiently?
Well, having spent more than a few nights behind the bars of the cells here, I've been quite worried. This isn't really a place that I tend to connect with safety or good things that have happened in my life. And I don't want to end up behind bars anytime soon. So I've been just standing there trying very, very hard to not touch anything, not look funny at anything, just trying to just stand there and kind of stare out into the air. Not in a super weird way, but kind of a weird way. Just waiting for the chief to finish and just kind of inside my head just hoping that he will finish soon. I need to get away from all these prying eyes, all these people looking at me and who know what I have done in the past, and some of whom have probably arrested me in the past.
As you're thinking that, and McLean is still rambling on with his daughter, Brent, one of the deputies described earlier, pretty much pushes past you, shoulder to shoulder, bumps past, keeps walking, puts a new poster up on the wall, turns around just half a glance toward you. Oh, sorry, Heuvach, didn't see you there.
No, sorry. Don't worry about it.
You planning on any having a stay at the at Shea Devonsport precinct anytime soon?
I think I've taken enough advantage of your hospitality. I'm trying to turn things around. I know.
Ah, shoot. You know what it was, Heuvach? I meant to ask you a question the other day, and it clean slipped my mind. Now just seeing you here, and you know how they say the olfactory senses are the strongest ones?
Sure, I mean, triggers memories. You remember all kinds of things, right?
That's right. And there's always a distinctive, what do they say in, miasma. In the air when you're around, and I tasted it, and I thought, yeah, that's Toby Heuvach, and that made me think, oh yeah, I had to speak to him about something. So you've got a distinctive smell, is my point, Heuvach.
I kind of laugh a little bit forcibly. Well, sure. Hey, what do you want to ask about?
Yeah, straight to business. Simple thing. There was an attack. It was at a truck stop not far from here, between here and Tacoma. An assault. And, no one's really sure a number of victims because it was such a mess. But someone eyeballed a pair of gentlemen, roughly matching the description of you and your brother. Now, I didn't. Don't worry, you're not under suspicion of anything like that, Heuvach. And he gives your shoulder a squeeze, and he smiles at you. I just had to ask you. And I know it's a long time back, so... Well, let me get it up on my phone. And he gets his phone out, and he gets up Google Maps, and he finds a truck stop, sure enough. Services between here and Tacoma. And he shows it to you on the map. There's one of those lovers' inns nearby, with the bright pink signs. They got 5 guys there. Anyway, just wondering, and he pretty much puts the cell phone in your face. Do you think you've ever been here before? As I say, this was a long time ago. It's just someone gave some descriptions, sounded like you and your brother. Wondered if you've ever been here before.
I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of things I don't remember. A lot of nights where I was sleeping in motels and, worse places than that.
Oh, sure. He puts his phone away. That's what I thought. So I'm just going to scratch it up as a misunderstanding. This thing was reported in years ago, and it's just coming up again like as a cold case. We revisit them every now and then. This is my first time revisiting this one. I saw 2 people got described in it. They sounded a bit like you. As I say, about 5 years ago, so... hell, I wouldn't remember if I was at a truck stop 5 years ago, unless, of course, I was part of some kind of bloody assault. Listen. I know it wasn't you. Just remember that I said that. Okay?
Okay. I say, and I smile. Okay. And I, as he leaves, I feel how my fist is firmly clenched, and it's starting to hurt a little bit. Because how the fuck could he know that? How do they know? Do they know it was me? Is it that obvious? Fuck. It really happened. And if they find out about that, this isn't just going to be some night in the drunk tank. that'll be it for me. But they don't know. They don't know. I mean, he said it himself. They don't know. It's just a routine thing. I have no idea. That's how it's gonna stay. And I breathe out, and I look for the chief.
I come back from my conversation a little distracted, and I almost forget you're there for a second, and I just say, "Oh, right. Come on, Toby, come on, this way. And I lean in and say, "Sorry about throwing a backstory on you, but it makes sense. You get me? Makes sense. Just be less suspicious. You're here, you want to turn over a new leaf. Practically a white lie. That's what you're doing for your uncle, isn't it? Helping out with this."
You could say that there's a kernel of truth there. Definitely. I smile again. Yeah. Hey, let's get to learning.
Yep.
So you can get to the most recent cases again. Devonsport Police don't have a thriving mass of unsolved crimes to look into, or at least when they do, they don't put it on paper. And so there isn't a huge amount to read or dig through. This isn't something where you're going to have to trawl for hours through the archives to find the paperwork. The incident only occurred just over a month ago, and so finding the witness statements, the official report, as typed up by Peter Cox and as annotated occasionally but signed off by the FBI, is an easy enough thing to do. You get hold of the report. It explains the following, and feel free at any point to ask any questions. On Thursday, October 23rd, 2014, somewhere between 7 a.m. and 7:45, Patrick Wilson was woken up by his mother, Clara. He had breakfast with his sister Elizabeth and his mother, and around 7:40-ish, he was apparently smiling, rubbing his hands together, looking forward to the day ahead. His mother, according to this report, quoted her son as saying, "Time to get to work." He then left the house through the back door, straight from the kitchen table, and left his backpack and phone behind. Although this was of course seen as unusual, and is noted as such in the report by the FBI annotations, no alarms were signalled at this time, because why would they be? From 8 a.m. to 9 a.m, Elizabeth, his sister, did remark that it was odd that he just left through the back door without going upstairs to get his stuff, but maybe he was in a hurry. It was around 8:15 that older man, a citizen of the town, Douglas Crosby, reported seeing Patrick walking through the woods with a determined expression on his face. Again, quote from Douglas Crosby. He apparently called out in greeting. The families know each other. But Patrick didn't answer. Douglas assumed Patrick didn't hear him, maybe he had his headphones in, and he went on with his day. According to phone records, it was at 8:21 that Patrick's friend Hussein calls Patrick to check in, because usually he stops by Hussein's house and they head into school together. As Patrick didn't pick up, Hussein rushed to school, expecting to meet Patrick there. Moving on. 9 a.m. Just before 9 a.m, a number of students, including Hussein, saw Patrick walking across the lawn past their classroom window wearing a long yellow raincoat. He disappeared from view as he approached the main entrance of the school, and security camera footage, of which there are stills, but there is also a link to the video, which is currently on the police database as well as the FBI database, which you do not have access to, shows Patrick smiling and walking as he walks toward the school with something heavy, bulky, hidden underneath his raincoat. One can infer from the events that shortly came that this was an assault rifle. Just 1 minute after this, these stills are taken, Patrick opened the door to the classroom where Frank Dubois, one of the teachers, was teaching physics. The door closed behind him, and he raised his weapon. As Patrick entered the classroom, Hussein had left his to walk towards Dubois' classroom. Just as he arrived, Patrick started shooting. While no cameras actually record the interior of Dubois' classroom, Hussein witnessed some of this through the window before fleeing, and the cameras did record the sound of several gunshots, then silence, repeated several times, until eventually Patrick kicks the door open. Within a minute of this taking place. It's all very fast. By this point, Patrick's raincoat is spattered with dark blood. Judging from the security footage and the few witness statements from this time that are not attributed in the police report, he appeared to be laughing and shouting, though whatever he was saying was not picked up over the sound of gunfire. Hussein by this point ran for the main entrance and left the building. CCTV footage shows Patrick walking slowly down the hall, clearly enjoying himself, the FBI have annotated. There were various classrooms where he attempted to kick the door open, but the school has lockdown protocols, as many an American school has, and so the doors were locked where possible. It was the students caught outside of classrooms running for exits that Patrick fired wildly at, and gunned down in many cases. Closing parts of the incident report. Ashley Dapperton, student at the school, she was in the bathroom when the shooting started, tried to sneak out and run for the main exit. She is given special attention in the police report because she almost makes it, but twists her ankle, stumbles and falls. Patrick walked up to her, aiming his weapon at her head. It was at this moment, at 9:16 a.m, that Peter Cox and Carol McLean of Devonsport Police rushed through the main door. Witnessing the carnage, they made a snap decision and immediately fired several shots, killing Patrick instantly. To both of your minds, whether police trained or military trained, it is uncommon in reports like this to leave out if warnings are given, and of course it is typical that the police would bellow warnings, put the gun down, lay down, hands behind your head, that kind of thing. But it is of course acceptable if a life is in danger, such as appears to have been the case with Ashley Dapperton, that the police can make a snap decision and fire. That appears to have been the case with Peter Cox and Carol McLean, neither of whom were reprimanded. After all, it would have had to have been Dwayne that did the reprimanding, or the FBI, and they both received commendations for their fast action. That is the incident report.
I sit there for a moment, having put the papers out on a nearby little table so that Toby and I can quickly just look them over while people walk by, trying not to be too visible as I do so. Interesting. My gut sinks a little reading over the details. It's a horrible, horrible thing, and even though I've seen some pretty nasty stuff, this has never happened in my neck of the woods this bad. I think to myself initially how everything seems exactly as I thought. Number one, clearly premeditated. The kid knew in the morning what he was going to do. I don't know why he left his bag and phone behind. It's a bit strange that he didn't use those to get the weapon, but he got the weapon from somewhere. Although, was it in the school, the forest? That I'm not sure on. But I'll mull this all over and I'll just say to Toby, well, he knew what he was doing, and he went and did it. Nothing about this looks strange to me, although, what do you think?
there are some names that we recognize. Do I know Ashley Dapperton? I mean, I would have met her, right?
You, of course, recognise the name of Ashley Dapperton as she is the mayor's daughter, which means she is related to you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Dapperton. I mean, I suppose I would have met her at some point then, I mean...
Family gatherings, although the two of you aren't close, it may be a way in to interview her.
Yeah, I mean, she would have seen him right before he died. I mean, that could be interesting, that could be something.
Toby, as you are looking at the incident report, of course, all the still images there's a lot of forensic images, although the forensic report is separate of the bodies, the crime scene. It doesn't do anything so trite or predictable as send you flashing back to Fallujah or a battlefield. These are, after all, still images, taken with forensic quality, not made to be leering or grotesque, although, of course, the dead bodies, some of which bear multiple gunshots, are no picnic. But there is something familiar to you about the way some of these deaths have been carried out. Not so much execution style, but certainly with a purpose, certainly with a trained hand. A lot of shots to centre mass or to the head.
Yeah. Have you noticed how everyone has been shot with, pretty scary precision? I mean, he must have been doing a lot of shooting on his spare time. I don't know if maybe his family was into guns. Otherwise I can't really see how he would have been this good. I mean, someone who just sits around playing Call of Duty doesn't get this good at shooting people.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll need to look into what the family said, what they said about his lifestyle, who he's been hanging out with. This friend of his. Be interested to see if he knows something. Yeah,
we should definitely speak to him. I'm looking at the pictures. The CCTV footage, what kind of... guns is what I know. What kind of weapon is he using?
Very good question. He was firing an M16.
Now see, that's interesting. I point to the weapon. That's not an AR-15. That's an M16. That's military, right? That's not what you normally see used during school shootings. Normally it's some AR-15 someone's picked up at Walmart. This is different. It's not that strange though necessarily. If they're really into guns, it's legal to own, but it's not as common. There might be some kind of story behind this weapon.
I think I get what you're getting at. The link here is, how did he get the weapon? That's the bit that even I'm a little unsure of, because he doesn't have it at home. He left his bag there, or somewhere on the journey. He either got the gun, or it was already hidden in the school somewhere, but I don't know, that's a bit less. It makes more sense that the gun was somewhere else on the way, and maybe someone dropped it off for him, or gave it to him, or at least sold it to him. We could at least... It's at this point I'll look over the rest of the documents and just have a little think. Can I roll an investigate roll to see if I can get any natural insight here?
Please do.
Get a 12, meaning I get one question, but at a cost.
Yeah, so what question would you like to ask?
I suppose the classic. Is there anything weird about this? I kind of stopped putting things together. Like I said, most of the stuff seemed actually exactly as I thought it would be. But is there anything that actually does strike me out as odd, other than the weapon itself and the training involved? Anything odd about the sequence of events, his behavior, what happened in the school?
Well, maybe it's redundant to say very little of it makes sense. There's no profile here of Patrick Wilson. So, in the sense of it being weird, this is an incomplete police report. No one has run some kind of psych evaluation on the deceased Patrick Wilson to explain exactly why he did this. And so, from a police standpoint, the something weird is there's a big gap there. But from the report of Patrick's behaviour, yeah, the things you've already noted, the precision, the acquisition of a military rifle, as Toby has pointed out. The thing that stands out perhaps most, and this is just from your reading over the last month of other school shootings as you've been trying to wrap your head around this, is how the damage, awful as it was largely confined to one classroom. While there were people who were shot after the fact, after he left, there was none of the same precision that followed what was in the physics class. So, several injuries, but no other deaths.
I lean back and take a sip on a coffee that I got someone to bring over for me, because of course I can get people to bring me coffees. I didn't offer Toby one. And I say, you know, I'm actually starting to think that maybe the mayor has a point. Something is missing here. Like, that's the problem. Like, most of the stuff is here, don't get me wrong, but there's bits that just aren't there. And the fact that people like the fucking FBI missed that, that's interesting in itself. We need to figure out where he got this weapon from, who he got it from, and shit, and we need a little more about who the fuck this kid is.
Toby, you're looking through the reports. You see a note on the end to where the forensics report will be stored, and you can see the green forensics cabinet a little deeper into the precinct, closer to the cells. You can make your way there yourself while the police chief is still examining the incident report, if you want.
Sure, I mean, they know that I'm here, and I'm here with the chief, so I'm guessing they won't see me as a threat. Yeah, I'll begin making my way over there, trying to see the evidence. I mean, if I can see it with my own eyes, maybe I'll see something. I mean, I'm not like a trained investigator or anything like that, but hey.
You pull open the drawer, it isn't locked, and rifle through. It's sorted by date, so again, not terribly difficult to find. There was only one school shooting on this day, at least in Devonsport, not the entire United States. And there's a folder marked Forensics Report. But the folder is largely empty. There's a ballistics analysis. Again, you recognise this kind of language. The number of guns you have come to know, drilling you have come to practice, you know a little about ballistics. But there's a separate slip file for blood analysis that's utterly empty. As you extract the ballistics analysis file, you can see that as the photographs in the incident report reported, it was indeed an M16A4 assault rifle. According to the analysis, its serial number was removed. And there is, again, an annotation. It says, almost impossible to trace. The gun apparently bore 2 sets of fingerprints. One set, Patrick Wilson's. The other unidentified, with no record of the prints in any database.
Huh. Now that's something. Alright, I keep reading. Is there anything else?
Yeah. It says, it gives the date and time that the gun was bagged and tagged. It still had 10 rounds in the 20-round magazine. That the cops retrieved 2 empty magazines from Dubois' classroom, and another 3 in the main hallway. The analysis reveals that all bullets recovered at the crime scene that didn't belong to the police officers were fired from the same gun. Patrick Wilson was carrying 4 more fully loaded magazines for a total of 10.
Could have been even worse then.
Most definitely. It ends with yet another leading annotation to record the evidence locker where the gun is presently held, which of course is also at the police precinct.
Well, I would like to have a look at this gun. It is, as I said, I mean, it's not an AR-15. M16s, they were used in the war. They're not supposed to be all that common among civilians. Yeah. Would I have an idea of how to then find the weapon?
Yeah, well, the evidence lockers, again, are easy enough to find, but they are locked. There is a cage, floor to ceiling, in the back right corner of the station, which you can see doubles as an evidence locker. Many rows of shelves, including some chests and filing cabinets within. And the cage has several padlocks on its door. This isn't the kind of thing that the general public can just get into, or indeed any random police officer. You need to check in and check out evidence.
Perhaps the chief can help me. I'll get back to the chief. I definitely want to show him this ballistics information and the fingerprints. Yeah, the fingerprints. Another set? I mean, it could be the person who gave him the weapon. Again, I can't imagine that he would have had access to an M16 by himself, unless it was the parents, but I guess we'll have to maybe interview them if we can. Alright, I head back to the chief.
You looking to get my commendation taken away from me, Dwayne?
I blink a little. I'd kind of phased out as I was thinking. I didn't even notice that Toby had just gone off and done something by himself, and it's as I'm thinking that I listen to Peter. Of course I'm not trying to take away your commendation. Hardly. No. You did the right thing, Peter. I would have probably done the same. No, I'm just looking into some stuff for, personal interest. Something about this is a little weird to me, and I'm just looking into it.
He folds his arms. Weird, huh?
Yeah, in all these reports no one talks about how he got the goddamn gun. And that to me is odd.
Well, the FBI said it wasn't their motherfucking problem how he got the gun. And, well, frankly, it wasn't ours. Neither. Our best guess is he picked it up at a gun show, or had a friend, or got it through someone online, and just kept it somewhere by the school. And he stubs a finger into the report. He certainly didn't leave his house with it, not unless his entire family is made up of liars. So that means he picked it up somewhere between his home and the high school. And then went, to town with it.
I nod, and just before Toby returns, I say quietly, just one thing. I didn't actually know that you and Carol were... Well, I mean, I did know, but I didn't really think about it. Just, who made the call to shoot? You did, right?
There was no call to make, Dwayne. I would have thought Carol told you about this already. When you see something like that going down, as you well know, you have to rely on your instincts. We both opened fire because that young girl, the mayor's daughter's life was in danger. And so we both opened fire until the perp fell down.
You think you did it at the same time? I see.
Well, as close as damn it. I mean, who can say? Things were a bit tense, to put it mildly. By the time we arrived, we were the only car at the scene, could hear the gunfire going on inside, ran straight up to the doors, took our corners, could already see the blood in the hallway. As soon as we went on through, we of course announced police on the presence. We told any students we could find, get out now. And then, well, it was all within the course of about a minute that we came face to face with Sucker, and he was there holding his gun to young Ashley Dapperton's pretty little head, and, well, I wasn't gonna risk nothing, and I don't think your daughter was neither, so,
I know that, Peter. Peter, come on, I'm not asking. You didn't do the wrong thing.
I'm not saying that I did, and I ain't justifying myself to you, Dwayne, with all greatest respect in the world to you and your position. We go back a long way, and all that.
Exactly, that's why you should know. I'm asking because it's my daughter. It matters a little, you know, if she... Did she have a moment of hesitancy or not? I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Listen, if you're beginning to doubt that she should be in this role, that she should have the weight of the handgun at her side or in her hands, then maybe you should have kept her on a tighter leash when she was young. But now she's one of us, Dwayne. You can't rub the blue off of you in the shower. She's a cop, like me, like you, and she's made for this. She's grown into this. You don't change once you're this. Well, you gotta pop your cherry somehow, some way, and she did it for a good cause, I would hazard to say. Certainly better than any of those damn reports you hear from any of the bigger cities where, some poor civvy gets gunned down for no particular reason. This was a bad kid.
I kind of scowl, but not at Peter, but just at the ground. The reason I'm finding this a little bit bothersome is just because part of me thinks I'd prefer it if she had paused. Because that's my little girl, and again, she shouldn't have even been in that sort of situation. Hell, working in Devonsport, that sort of thing shouldn't have even happened in the first place. But I kind of try and brush that aside as I change subject quite rapidly. Right, anyway. Listen, Peter. You got a set of eyes on you. Nothing about this case, to you, seemed a little not quite as cut and dry as the FBI said. Really?
He moves his arms from crossed in front of him to where his hands are on his hips, and he is rocking backwards and forwards on his feet like his shoes are a fraction too tight and causing him discomfort. He looks up at the ceiling. Could you make an intuition roll, please?
I certainly could. 18.
Wow.
I get 2 questions to ask.
So yes, on an 18, feel free to ask your questions. You get a good read on Peter Cox. What is it you want to know?
Focusing a little more on Peter now that I'm not thinking about personal stuff. His reaction is a bit weird. Why does he suddenly stall like this? How is he actually feeling right now that I've asked him that question?
Cox is clearly nervous, maybe even angry that he's being questioned about a case that was dealt with pretty quickly over a month ago. But more than that, he is evasive. He is looking at the ceiling because he can't look you in the eye. He's putting his hands on his hips because he's attempting to look innocent and big. He's rocking backwards and forwards on his feet like a child under questioning.
I find that quite funny, but I don't smirk because that would probably piss him off. My next question is, how could I get him to calm down a little? Maybe I put him on a wrong foot here. The funny thing is, I'm not actually trying to get him in trouble or degrade him in any way. I'm actually generally asking his opinion because I'm starting to think that maybe this case, something has been missed. And I'm actually doing my job, which, considering some of the things I've had to do, is ironic.
The best way you've always found to work your way around Deputy Cox is compliments, such as by praising his good shooting, by making such a snap judgment, by taking your daughter under his wing where you may not have done so. But more than anything else, being his friend. There's always been a rivalry between you. Given that he is a very similar age to you, but he has always been in the deputy chair, there's never really been the opportunity for the two of you to be anything more than pecking at each other for command. And now that you are slowly edging out of that seat, he is maybe only going to get a brief chance to shine as the chief, but this is it.
Peter, I know how this looks. I've come in and started asking questions and fiddling with things. Truth is, I'd rather be at home right now, having a nice beer. I am practically retired. I'm sorry I was a little bit short about Carol. She just gave me some news. She's thinking of going to Seattle, and it just kind of threw me off a little. It made me want to ask questions about her. Hey, if it had been you and me there, I probably would have shot first. I'm just saying, like, you made the fucking right call. This whole thing is awful. And I lean forwards and say, that's what's got me going. I'm worried that even though this case is done, maybe there was someone else somehow, even slightly, involved. And I don't care about no court hearings or trials, but I just want to make sure that our town is safe. Hey, I'm hoping I'm barking up the wrong tree and all this is gonna blow over nice and easy, but I have to look, just a little. So come on, you and me.
He sighs, narrows his eyes a little. You think he's going to hit back with something accusing? Again, are you accusing me of not doing my job? Are you accusing me of missing something? But his expression softens. Yeah, you're right, Dwayne. Of course, the safety of Devonsport is the most important thing to any of us here, regardless of who's in our pocket at any given time, if you catch my meaning. It's the safety of this town. And, I think very highly of your daughter, and I think she has done a fine job. You got no reason to doubt that she is a fine officer of the law. If you think there's a tree that needs barking up, then, hell, I'm not going to stand in your way. Just, keep me in the loop, okay?
I certainly will. And again, I'm not saying you missed something. On the contrary, I don't think you missed anything, but I'm willing to bet the FBI told you to stay out of things. So come on.
Well, on that, you are correct. The FBI treated us like countryside bumpkins, like we're from someplace in Oklahoma or Texas, not Washington. And, well, that ain't the truth. We know everything that goes on in this town. We know who goes in, who goes out, who has guns, who doesn't. But the Bureau were damn sure that they were going to take this case, to the point that they messed up our whole filing system here.
I bet they did.
They didn't even, I still don't know where the blood analysis has gone. I would guess that obviously the Bureau have still got it, but I haven't had time yet to stop by the hospital to get a new one printed or typed up.
Yeah, I thought so. That's good. Again, Peter, hopefully this little day trip I'm planning on making is just a waste of time.
Oh, and Toby is heading back over at this point. I hear you are interested in joining the police.
It's honest work. I've come from the military, so it's a natural next step,
Yeah, well, it's a honest town most of the time. So, have the two of you found everything you was looking for, and can I rely on you to put things back where you found them?
Most definitely. I have something I want to show you, Chief.
Yeah, go on.
So I'm showing the ballistics report here on the weapon. It says that there's another set of fingerprints on the weapon. It doesn't say who, not in the database apparently, but it means that someone else was handling that gun. Someone who might have given it to him, maybe.
I don't say anything initially. I just look to Peter just to see, is he gonna say, already knew that, or not? I'm hoping the first one.
He nods. Yeah, that's right. Found 2 sets of prints, as it says, and the FBI typed that report up. And ran it through their database as well as ours, and yeah, sure as sunshine, nothing came up as linked. So,
but they didn't consider that for fingerprints on the gun, someone could have handed him the gun.
Oh, of course, I imagine they considered it. We considered it. We spoke about it at length. Carol and I spoke to the bureau about it, and I said, well, who do you think is handling this gun? And, well, they said, as there don't appear to be any kind of weapons trafficking business in Devonsport, and there hasn't been any kind of illegal gun ownership crimes prosecuted, short of knocking on every single door of every single man, woman, and child in Devonsport, we ain't gonna find those prints. You know what they say, Dwayne, Toby, you know, if you want to get a gun in our country, you just pop down the supermarket and buy one.
Yeah, but they don't normally hand the gun over the till covered in fingerprints.
Someone's gotta handle it. Dwayne, Christ, you're chasing ghosts. You understand? These could be from anybody, not necessarily someone nefarious, neither. If he bought it the night before, this could just be the prints of the person he bought it from. And yeah, he bought it without a license. Yeah, he bought it without training, so far as we can tell. But fact is, someone gave him that gun. It didn't just pop out of the ground, did it?
No. What did you make of the accuracy? I mean, I see people shoot like that, but that's people in the military. That's people who have training. I mean, he's just a kid. How could he be that good?
Peter curls his face up into a sneer. Well, I've got a guess, but it's a bit morbid, I guess. Listen, if this kid goes into his classroom, he has the gun under his coat till the last possible minute. All the kids are sitting there dutifully at their desks, and he just goes pop, 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 all the way across. Well, when they're all at the same level and you're shooting it from the hip, it's going to make your accuracy better than average. So, for my money, that would account for the majority of the accurate shots. All that said, it don't account for the fact that he had to take time to reload. So he must have been stood in that doorway, preventing people from getting out. They would have been getting up, hiding under the desk, and then he remained accurate. So I put it down to a singular focus. This is why I'm a bit pissed off that there's no blood analysis, you know? And you probably know this better than I do, Toby. Sometimes you can take a drug that will give you complete focus, you know, what I call it, like tunnel vision.
Yeah, like the Nazis were taking.
Yeah, amphetamine, meth or whatever. Maybe he was on something, and he wasn't going to get distracted by screams or people running around. And I don't want to describe it in lurid detail or nothing, but if he was just walking from desk to desk, pop, 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 pop. Hell, the only person in there that got more than a couple of shots was the teacher, Dubois. His entire chest was riddled with them. Maybe he put up more of a fight than the students, who were probably scared witless.
Or maybe the motive. Maybe it stemmed from him having a bit of a beef with the teacher. Maybe.
It seemed kind of... I mean, all those shots. That's a message of some kind, huh? There's emotion there, huh?
More so than in the others, I would say. But I'm not a psychologist. And when the FBI took the case on, it wasn't my place to question the why, just tie up the loose ends.
That makes sense. You've got stuff you gotta be doing. I'll just ask one last question. What did we get on his phone, in his room, in his possessions, all that? What did we find? Anything? Journal? Letters? Emails on those computers? I don't know, did he have a computer?
Yeah, usual stuff. Nothing to implicate him, mind you. I mean, we don't exactly have a cybercrime division here in Devonsport, but the FBI didn't add anything to the entire report that said there was some kind of motive, like someone emailing or, access to the dark web where he picked up the gun. I mean, we shouldn't rule out that maybe he picked up this M16 from someone else's house, and he looks at Toby. Maybe an ex-military man, just hasn't reported it missing.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But serial number's scratched off, so what can you do? Ain't nothing else we know.
Yeah. This is... I'd just like to ask if it would be alright if I had a look at the weapon. I saw that you have it in the locker, right?
He scratches his head and some flakes of skin fall off. He then cleans out his nails. If the chief says it's okay, and he gives Dwayne a stare, for you to be handling evidence after the fact, then I'm not gonna stand in your way. I mean, just make sure you sign it in and out.
I'll watch him. Don't get me wrong, he's not gonna walk out of here with it, but I don't see any harm in him putting his military mind to the weapon. Maybe he'll see something even you and I would have noticed. I'm not a big gun expert myself. Sure thing, you can have a look at the gun. And then I think maybe we'll start heading off. We've taken up enough of your time, Peter. I'm sorry. Like I said, it's just bugging me that there could be someone out there giving guns to kids. Don't get me wrong, he clearly premeditated the whole thing. It's obvious, but that's the thing that's getting me, that there could be somebody out there. That gun. Nah, I don't reckon, according to Toby, I don't reckon you could just pick that one up from a store. No, he thinks it's proper military grade. That stuff's supposed to be hard to get.
Very expensive. That's what I know. Well, all right. If I can have a look, that would be great. So, thank you, Peter.
Brent, throw the evidence locker keys this way. Does so. He passes them to you. As I say, sign it out and then in again. Don't want any fuckery with the paperwork.
Nod to the chief to sign it.
I nod and start doing the paperwork, and I just give a little impatient huff to Toby, saying, "Well, come on, go get it, boy."
And I'll do that as soon as the paperwork is signed and we have the key to open it up. Then I'll try to find the weapon and anything that is in here connected to this crime inside this evidence locker. You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played The Shunned for KULT Divinity Lost, which was written by Jonas Nelson, with additional material from Petanado. The Shunned was released as part of the Screams and Whispers scenario collection. Our game master was our dear friend Matthew Dawkins, and the series has been sponsored by the fine folks at Helmgast. The music was made by H.M. Carceri, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon: Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julián, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, Bob Lange, Julián, Cameron, Xabier, and Antxon for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for KULT Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play KULT with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, death is only the beginning.